All across the unknown world, rediscovery pushes ever onwards to find the lands and people lost. All thanks to our brave explorers.
Hi, I'm Dan, and I'm playing Vanya the Wolfkin Warrior.
Hey, I'm Livy. I'm going to be playing Rayri, the Sprite Ranger.
Hi, my name's Theo and I'm playing Cal, the Sangavar Guardian.
I'm Georgia, and I will be playing Alfrek Stormhawk, a Dragon Scent Bard.
And my name is DM Dan. I'll be the GM in these adventures. The further we go, the more we learn of these magical tales from elsewhere. Hello and welcome, everybody. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. We're going to do our evening ablutions. We're going to do a quick audio check. Can everyone in the back row hear us? I hope you can. I really hope you can. We'll watch the chat pensively. Yeah! First time I'm a professional, a consummate professional, by the name of DM Dan. Hi. This is Explorers of Elsewhere. We are back to play some more Tales from Elsewhere, which is our kind of short, snappy, episodic mini-adventure campaign set in the Elsewhere setting using the Daggerheart rule set. It's still an open beta. We patiently wait with bated breath for the full release. But it's not just me. I'm accompanied by Theo. Hello.
Hello, Dan. Hello, everyone.
Hello. We've also got Livy.
Hello.
Hello, Livy. And we've also got Dan.
Ahoy there.
Oh, hey. And we have a new face. Hello, Georgia.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Marvellous. We have lost Nate somewhere down the back of the sofa, although he's in the chat, so clearly he's got his phone. But yes, Georgia is stepping in as our newest player for certainly the next tale, the next short adventure, and perhaps, you never know, depending on how well you do, if you pass your probation, we might keep you on for the third one as well. Yes, only time will tell. We are, as I say, we are back. We've finished the first adventure. Three of you plus Azakar, Nate's player character, ventured to the coastal shores of New Prosper, which just so happens to be the location of the first campaign, Year 1, which you can catch here on the channel. But we've sorted that out. There was a problem, and then you literally smashed it. You literally uppercutted it to bits. And so it's sorted. And now we move swiftly on to our next adventure. Yeah, if you're interested in stuff like Daggerheart or Tabletop RPGs, we've got loads of them going on. Make sure to like this video for a start, but then also subscribe to the channel. And if you do, you'll be able to chat to us as well in the chat. Yeah, we've got Blades in the Dark campaign going. That's nearly finished. We've got all sorts of new stuff on the horizon. Campaign 3 rolling through at some point in the indeterminate future. Yeah, it's an exciting time. I reckon we are going to jump straight in. Alfrek. The day grows late and the sun sinks low in the sky as you make your way north of town, through the rolling hills and the relatively new wheat fields. There's a light rain that patters down on you that's beginning to soak your coat a little bit. After about 20 minutes or so of walking along this muddy road, you come across a rocky crag, upon which a slender stone tower made out of white-grey stone pierces the horizon. It's several stories tall, and it's topped with a silver conical roof. In fact, it looks very much like the towers that you've grown up reading about. Surrounding the base of the building is a small garden of colourful flowers and leafy bushes. There aren't any windows on the tower, just a simple set of wooden double doors where the path meets the building. Alfrek, as you knock on the door, you hear a heavy sound of metal locks unlatching, and with a clunk, the door begins to swing open. You are presented, as a large door swing open, you step into a large open room with a beautifully polished white marble floor. Immediately in front of you, dominating the centre of the room, is a rather quaint fountain that you have a sneaking suspicion has a water supply that is somewhat magical in nature. There's a hubbub of conversations throughout the room, and glancing around you see about a dozen or so people. Some of them you recognise, some of them you don't. In the back corners of this room are two staircases that rise up and away, and there are a number of doors that line the other three walls of this entrance foyer. As you take a step in out of the rain, your feet sink slightly into the welcome mat, and it feels like a warm breeze brush over your toe claws. And you watch as whatever enchantment on this doormat is, it begins to wick away the mud on your shoes and dry them, leaving them perfectly clean. And as you look around, we will very quickly transition to a map.
Oh.
Can you all see that? Hopefully you can. Have you got just a double check? Have you got vision?
Yeah.
Does Georgia have vision?
Where we're in.
I can. It's a very small map on my screen. I don't know if that's something I've done.
No, that is absolutely fine. It is quite small to begin with.
You can also zoom in and out on your mouse if you need to.
So, Alfrek, as you walk in and a number of faces turn to regard you, I say some of them you recognise, some of them you don't. Describe to me what everyone sees when they look at you.
They see quite a slight-looking dragon scent, bright blue scales, obviously the dragon head, two little horns sort of slicked back, dressed in very expensive but not entirely colourful clothes. He's got a silk cravat, obviously a very well-made coat, and as people turn to look at him, he tries his very best to smile and raises a clawed hand. He has the look of a boy who's gone to his first party and has never experienced a hardship a day in his life.
Okay. Fair. So, as you... let me just plonk some of these down. As you glance around the room, as I say, some of the faces you see you recognise, some you don't. But let me just turn all of these on. We can actually turn that off. There we go. Cool. So, yeah, glancing around, going in from left to right. Over on the left, you see a white-haired, elderly Lorivar woman. You recognise her as Lady Gwendolyn of Granlund Manor. And she is currently talking to a small, like a diminutive little figure. Hang on, we can get that up. So yes, Lady Gwendolyn is speaking to you notice she's dressed up to the nines. She's got her finest liveries on, glistening gold wing ornaments, kind of emblazed on like both ends of her collarbone, rising outwards. A deep, luscious looking red cape draped over her shoulders. And she is talking to this small little figure. You can recognise him immediately, even from the back of his head, by his stature and his peculiar hair, which actually looks more like a collection of rocks. And you recognise Mr. Montgomery, the mayor of your town of Seldavon. He is currently engaging in chit-chat with Lady Gwendolyn. They seem he seems quite into the conversation. She glances up at you, and you see some of the mischievousness that she's known for, as she kind of gives you an ever so slight delicate kind of roll of the eyes, as the mayor continues wittering on. At the back of the room, you can see a Lorivar woman, a red-haired Lorivar woman, dressed in a like a fine chef's outfit. You might not know her, but you assume her to be the chef of this magical mansion. She is talking to someone you definitely would know of, you know of by reputation, if perhaps not by actually meeting them. But it's a wolf. This chef, let's pop that up for everybody. Boop. So this Lorivar chef, you notice a badge of effectively it's a badge of like culinary expertise, like an award, like a medal almost, pinned to her chef's hat. And she appears to be talking to a rather broad-shouldered wolfkin man. And whilst this may be the first time you've met him, you don't skip a beat in assuming that this is Agathar, the mage protege of the master of the house, Magister Ullic. The two of them are deep in conversation. Behind the fountain, your eyes kind of open wide as you see perhaps it's someone that you've wanted to meet, whether or not you have or not in the past. But it's a definitely an imposing silhouette. That of a statue. Literally statuesque. You've heard tales of this animated statue. Its chest, like its torso cavity, and up through its neck and head and kind of out of its shoulder blade area, all hollowed out. A number of metal organ, like pipe organ, like pipes protruding from his shoulders, and what appears to be a stringed instrument over the hole in his abdomen, creating a beautifully acoustic reverberation core. In the twinkling candlelight, and as you glance around, you see that there are a number of candles just kind of floating in the air around this foyer. The light glimmers off the 2 green crystalline hands that the statue has, Stradivon. The hands themselves are beautifully crafted. You know them to be intricately magical in nature, but allows him the dexterity to be able to play the stringed instrument in his chest beautifully. There are also 3 faces you definitely don't recognise. So, first off, stood by the fountain, perhaps slightly with his back to you. How is Cal presenting himself as this dragon scent enters the room?
I think Cal is wearing his usual explorer garb. Like it's clean. Don't get me wrong, it is very clean, but it is definitely what's the word? Just his normal clothes. He's not made an effort in any other way.
Sure.
He's tidy, his hair is clean. He's not covered in muck and blood, but it's still his usual stick.
Okay.
Yeah, he does not look too pleased to be there, but then when does he look pleased to be anywhere? So we're kind of it's just a normal day for Cal. Yeah, so
okay.
That's it really.
Well, as this floating tray of champagne glasses hovers past, and I can only assume you snatch it up to give you something to take the edge off all of this. Yeah, you glance over your shoulder and you see this newest arrival. What is your first impression of the dragon scent that just walked into the room?
I would imagine from the expensive clothes, he is a very wealthy young man. I would also imagine just from the kind of hopeful, cheerful demeanor that seems to be presented, he is, how do I put this? Probably a little green around the ears.
The fins.
Yeah, definitely like green around the gills. Probably knows a lot of information, but he might be useful for information gathering for whatever purpose we are here, because I'm not sure Cal knows directly yet, but we'll discuss that later. But he might be useful, but then everyone in this room is useful to do their job, he supposes. Depends on why they're here.
Sure.
So he's noted it for later, for now.
Okay. Vanya, what are you doing in this situation? How comfortable do you feel in this rather highbrow kind of arena?
It's probably quite clear that Vanya has never really been in this scenario before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily that he does feel a bit uncomfortable, because he's like, what am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also like a very much like a new experience, like blase like vibe around Vanya, as like, for example, the trays come past and Vanya's like, finally the drinks, and he picks up 2 glasses and immediately crushes them by accident. He's like, oh damn it, and picks up another 2 and tries to be a bit more gentle as he tries to chug some of these drinks, and looking at the statue like, do you talk? Like he's very he's not really. I think it's more like he can't really read the room properly.
Sure.
He's just being himself within the space. And in terms of, are we assuming that we're not necessarily having to dress up for this specific scenario, DM, or are we meant to be dressed up?
It has become, well, it's up to you, but it would be abundantly clear that this is a bit of a high flyer event. We'll swing back round to why you three are here soon. But I will let you choose. Like, it might have been mentioned in passing, but you were told it certainly wasn't mandatory. But whether or not you took that as an invite or a threat or something in between is up to you.
The funny thing is, despite what Vanya wears, which is quite, like an explorer's practical gear, like, sleeveless, like, jacket that he, he does show his abs. Let's face it, he's a hunking dude. But he does have this one nice item on him, which is his cloak. This big white overall, like, cloak that wraps completely around him when he wants it to, which in this scenario he probably would, to hide his more rugged look underneath. But yeah, the coat itself isn't. Obviously, there's always this like stereotype of like having these furs on top of it. This is not necessarily the case. This coat probably was bought in the city or something, or like as like a celebration of becoming an explorer of elsewhere.
Sure.
So this is the one like the actual dress of it. So it's a white cloak with black like fur, like mane that wraps around like the neck area. And there's almost like a militaristic look to it, with like various like sharp suit-like patterns on the cloak to make it look quite regal in a way. It's the one and only nice thing he wears, and he uses it for traveling and hiding what he's wearing underneath when he needs to. And in this scenario, this like almost militaristic looking white cloak with black fur, it just wraps around his entire body at this moment in time. He only just reaches out from underneath the cloak when he wants to like get a drink and accidentally smashes the glass. Sure. But yeah, so he probably hasn't dressed up for the occasion. Okay.
As the champagne flute kind of cracks and you and like it, a part of it falls to the ground, you just asked this statue person a question. The hulking figure like turns, and you find it odd watching the stone that it's made of move like flesh and bone. It seems like it seems like it's fully malleable as the statue turns and moves. But the statue turns to you and says, "Yes, I do speak," and then bends down to pick up part of the broken champagne glass and pop it back on another tray that's kind of floating in the other direction. The statue then kind of nods and excuses themselves.
But that was got the chatter. Oh, never mind.
Rayri, as you glance around this room, and there's a part of me that's imagining that you would have certainly picked up on the fact that the windows that you can see are presenting you this beautifully, like, picturesque night sky with a crazy number of, like, shooting stars. The stars themselves are, like, really, like, beautifully bright. And, like, the windows are interspersed with large purple banners, like rich purple banners with gold embroidery across them. Looking around, you notice that purple and gold seems to be a bit of a thing here. But also you've noticed that this room that you're in, like you saw the tower on your way up the path with the other three, but now you're here, you can tell that there's, you know, rooms off in all directions, there's doors all around you. But it's certainly the case that this building that you're in, this mansion of sorts, is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. How's that making you feel?
I think, like, Riri isn't really one for, like, being inside. So, like, it's a little bizarre. She's kind of shuffling around, sort of looking to see if, like, kind of surreptitiously just kind of feeling walls, looking along, trying to work out, like, why the sky is so perfect, but then getting distracted, and then looking for vol-au-vents, and then just kind of just bimbling around as she's trying to work out, what this place entails, I guess.
Sure.
Because they've come here on a purpose, and she's already feeling a little strange.
Sure. Nature Aids is a very good question. How does Vinny feel about all of the peculiar smells and the floating trays going around the room?
I think as Riri's going around, like, she's got, like, these little, like, vol-au-vents that she's picking up. She's kind of licking the mousse off the top, like an Oreo, and then just kind of chucking the cracker to Vinny, and then taking another one, and licking the top off, chucking the cracker to Vinny, and he's just going around.
Great, marvellous. Well, between the three of you, you are here for a reason, and for better or worse, it's not to be part of this gala dinner. So, after your return from New Prosper, after a little bit of rest and recuperation, the next job that you've picked up was a relatively simple but surprisingly well paid, like, courier job of sorts. Off the back of a suggestion from Archmage Merry, like Meridius, he has asked you to go see, to head through one of the portals to a recently re-established outpost of called Seldavon, to speak to their kind of resident mage, an old fellow, an old Lorivar called Ullic. Ullic has been quite quiet recently, Mary informs you, but he has made noises that he has something that he wishes to return to Avamore. So the three of you have been tasked with going to this, like, Ullic, you've been told, has been very kind of insular and kind of public shy recently. So the opportunity for outsiders to kind of be in his space is relatively far and few between. So when you've heard of him, when Mary heard that he was hosting a gala dinner, it was the ideal time for the three of you to go pick up whatever it was that Ullic had to give you. And perhaps that is why the three of you feel a bit kind of sore thumb as you look around this room of, like, hoi polloi high flyers. But Alfrek, you're as a resident of Seldavon, why is it that you were invited?
It's quite a high status thing to have me or someone that looks like me at a party of this variety. I think Alfrek's quite aware of that. He quite likes the attention. In a quite a shy way. He quite likes being looked at. But he's also well aware that he tends to be invited to these things to just be. But also, he doesn't know what to do with his hands. He doesn't know how to stand, and he doesn't really know how to talk to people. So being is quite awkward.
Okay. Of the individuals here, who is it that you approach first? Like, whose conversation do you just kind of like slide into?
I think he's spent sort of like, while everyone's sort of getting themselves situated, he spent like the past 5 minutes hovering awkwardly by the fountain, sort of just out of in Cal's eye shot, sort of grabbing vol-au-vents from trays, sort of very nervously putting them in his mouth, and then just walking a little bit closer towards, is it Stradivon?
Yep.
It's like practicing how to say hello with the eyes of a man who has just spotted a superstar.
Okay. In which case, Cal, you watch as this dragon scent just sort of like slides around this fountain bit by bit. And I mean, Cal, perhaps your attention has been caught by this kind of walking statue. But yeah, Alfrek, as you approach, Stradivon turns to regard you. Have you two met before?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think we have met before.
May I help you? Says the statue.
Hello. He sticks out a hand, still so covered in vol-au-vent.
Stradivon looks down at your hand, your outstretched hand, covered in vol-au-vent, and then extends his own, their own, and it's a peculiar sensation, because the crystalline hands that Stradivon has is like it's crystal hard, but it's both kind of cooling. But there's also this odd kind of tingle that skitters along your palm as the two of you shake hands. Pleased to meet you,
Alfrek.
Alfrek.
I just wanted to say I am a huge fan of your work. I've not heard it, but I've read it, and stunning.
Stradivon. It's an odd thing. So Stradivon smiles as you shake hands, and then as you release, his face kind of returns to this really stoic but stern looking kind of look of it's a somewhat imposing kind of stare, but then the face changes again, and I'm glad to hear that someone has heard my work. It is, I've had some time to mull on it, perhaps more time than others. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, yes, as a statue, I imagine quite a lot of thinking time. Sorry.
The face reverts back to that kind of like baseline stern look. And there's a slightly awkward extended silence. How do you know the mage?
Oh, my father lives down in town. He knows everyone, and so I know everyone.
Marvellous. It is good to know many people. What is it that you do, Alfrek?
I read a lot, and I play the violin.
Ah, a musician. Well, if you are a fan and if you're a fan of music and of my compositions, I've recently actually got back from a trip to the coast. I was composing an opera about two sailors. It's a story from before the war, long before the war, and I wanted to feel the aura, to embellish it, to imbibe into the composition. I fear it may be my best work yet.
I can't wait to hear it.
Stradivon, like the stone face twists into a smile, like a gentle smile, and then reverts back to that stone, that stony look. You notice as you're having this conversation that there's a wolfkin in a rather large, slightly unwieldy, kind of white and black fur coat, just like stood behind Stradivon, like every so often just kind of leaning round, trying to like get in on the conversation. But yeah, Alfrek, you immediately notice that, like, this wolfkin man behind Stradivon, the Asavar, you think it might be a Sanguivar. You think he's got the red eyes, and this little Ignan sprite to your left, they don't fit. But yeah, what do you do? Like, Stradivon just kind of smiles and nods. It seems like the light chit chat has just kind of petered off a little bit. Yeah, what do you do? Who you approach next, Alfrek?
I think it's that when you hit an awkward silence, especially with someone that you really admire, you sort of either try to fill it or like just pretend it's not happening. And I think Alfrek sort of makes very brief eye contact with this other person, and just like desperate little wave. Hello.
Seeing this weird scenario happening, and Vanya having no idea what's really going on here, carrying a couple of drinks, I think he kind of just joins in the conversations and dear, I thought, Cal, that you had a fan. I picked you up the drink, but some of them smashed on the floor. And I pass over a drink to Cal, and I'm like, sorry, now the gaze coming to you, Alfrek, is I don't believe we've met before. Who are you?
Hello, I'm Alfrek. He tries to do a little bobbing bow, and it's clear he's practiced this quite a lot, but it doesn't quite work in a crowded environment.
Or fancy?
It's who are you?
Well, my name is Vanya. I am an explorer of elsewhere, much like my companions Cal here and Rayri over there. What's Rayri doing right now? I'm like looking over.
As you point over to Rayri, like Vinny's already like licking between Alfrek's fingertips because he's found the Volleyball. It's still like just.
Alfrek is so like caught up in the panic of socializing, he hasn't noticed.
Yeah. Now you're surrounded. You've been like flanked like 3 ways.
I think his eyes go so wide when you mention that you're explorers.
Yes, sir, as you can see, we are explorers. We are here on a task. Or there seems to be some sort of fancy meetup, dress up. Do you know what's going on here?
It's a party, you know. It's a shindig, a get together.
A party. I can get down with that idea. We need to liven the place up a bit.
Did you say explorers?
Oh,
Uh,
sorry. Yeah, we are explorers of elsewhere.
proper explorers in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, we just like fought like a fire ghost again, man.
Here?
We do every day. We met like a croak that was like, oh, hello, I'm a little croak. We were like, wow.
Amazing.
With that certain interaction, GM,
Yeah.
something doesn't seem quite add up, and Vanier's not. Vanier's sort of insightful, but it's all based off instinct rather than actual being able to tell people's body language.
Yeah.
So in this certain scenario, I think Vanier is listening for the pace of Alfrek's heartbeat and smelling the air. Do I get a sense through this interaction that Alfrek really is as green-fingered in this scenario as they're coming across to be? Or is there like a hidden agenda behind this interaction?
Georgia, on a scale of 1 to newborn child, just how like innocently green are you?
If you lock a boy inside a library for the first 18 years of his life and give him a violin, you get Alfrek. There is no pretense to this man. He's never met a pretense in his life. He is genuinely delighted.
In which case, I would offer that Cal, you're watching sort of like Vanier interact with this, like this waif of a dragon scent, and you know, by comparison, you being one of the most grizzled things to grace this world, like. you're looking at this guy, this dragon scent who's got, it's clear, abundantly clear, 0 world experience. It's all hypothetical. It's all come from a book. Probably the most traumatic thing he's experienced is a stubbed toe. But how does it feel when like this dragon scent is looking between the three of you, just absolutely googly-eyed?
For Cal, it rings alarm bells. Because people with no experience do stupid things.
Yeah.
To prove themselves, or, you know, because they haven't the experience to not get into trouble, or, again, trying to prove themselves in situations because they want to prove they can handle dangerous things, and 10 out of 10 times out of 10, they certainly cannot handle the things they are trying to do. So Cal, and it's meant with good intention. Cal is like, I'm keeping my distance from this kid. I'm just trying to not engage too much because this kid is a walking hazard.
Sure.
Clearly from just his eagerness.
I will say, as you're glancing at this dragon scent, Alfrek, you believe his name to be, like past him, stood just in front of one of the statues at the back of the room. You see a Lorivar chef and a Wolfkin mage, and it's clear, like you saw that you caught, you know, you tagged them having a natter with one another, but you watch, like the chef has since excused herself. You presume she's heading back to carry on, like with meal prep. But this Wolfkin mage is sort of like glancing over. His attention seemed to be piqued when the name, like when the word explorer, like when Alfred was like, "Are you explorers?" But like he seems to do, he's doing that thing where he's sort of like keep side-eyeing you, keeping an eye on you, whilst making it look like he's not really paying you attention, but it's like he's earwigging.
As he's doing this, like Rayri is currently reenacting Azakar's death and then reborn with me, as she's very entertained by the fact that Alfrek is so interested.
She is watching with rapture.
Well, Ravi, as you do your very intense Andram performance, you feel a shoulder clap. Sorry, you feel a hand clap on your shoulder. And you turn to see that this Wolfkin mage has just strode and fundamentally inserted himself into the conversation. My, that sounds like a fascinating tale. We must compare, for I have recently come back from a journey.
Just like looks, she's got Vinny in a headlock. Just releases Vinny.
But you mention a crystal tower. That sounds fascinating.
It was like really, really, really big. And if you touched it, you'd go crazy. And
who might you be?
And he ate a bit. Then he was like, hello. How to do?
Ravi, you notice that, like, as you're explaining the story, when Vanier says, "Who are you?" this Wolfkin mage that's just sort of like looking at you with this like big beaming smile, just like effortlessly looks away from you, just stops paying you any kind of attention, and why? I am Agathar, the protege of the mage Ullic. It's this whole little party, this gathering. Well, it's in my honour, you say. I've recently returned from a dangerous trip, and we're here to celebrate my victories over the denizens of the wild of elsewhere. And I'm glad that each and every one of you could be here to witness just how great my story was.
I have a question, Dan.
Yes.
How old is this pup? Because I feel like I need to know. If I'm comparing the Greenhorn Alfrek, I should treat everyone equally. And if he's coming across like he's cock of the walk, as it were, but he also looks just as, like, not as junior. Alfrek is obviously at the very bottom of the scale, unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah.
But if this looks like someone who is literally talking, crap, then I think Cal would be quite mindful of that.
Sure. You would wager that this Wolfkin warrior is probably somewhere in his, like, late 20s, maybe early 30s. So it's clear that he has seen some years. Given that it's clear that he's a mage. Mm-hmm. So you suspect that he's probably got some sort of experience from the war as well.
Yeah.
But there is definitely a lot of bravado going on with this chap. Like, you've seen Vanier boast like no one else, but this.
But I've also seen Vanier actually do stuff.
Yeah, I'm 100%.
And I'm always usually quite impressed with what he does. Not that he probably says it, but Cal is usually very impressed.
Sure.
He stuck around, right? That's usually a good sign.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Cal will just very discreetly move into another team, and then you just wouldn't know what's going on.
Sure.
So yeah, cool. That's good to know. I think that will be something that Cal will keep in mind as this conversation continues.
Well, Agathar, the mage, looks at you all, and when we're finished with our meal, I'm going to I'll be showing off the bounties of my Zaga. It will be, and the things that we came back with will blow your mind. And he sort of looks to you and he gives you this like winning smile that feels utterly fake. Like it's the practice, or it's like the politician smile. As he looks to you, and like Rayri, you notice he's still got his like hand on your shoulder, and like as he's kind of looking around at you, at everyone, like the hands is like squeezing slightly tighter. But yeah, as this all happens, you hear a door from like behind you swing open, and there's a rhythmic staccato sound mixed with some sort of like light shuffling. You turn to see the elderly Lorivar and the Terran sprite at the side kind of step out the way as the door on the left hand side of the room opens, and out shuffles possibly one of the oldest goblins you've ever seen. And the goblin is wearing a purple coat, like a jacket, a butler's jacket, with a diamond pattern, and you notice the hues of purple are the same as the purple kind of banners that are hanging down from the wall. The goblin's got this long, sticky out, like salt and pepper moustache, and the depth of his wrinkles beggar belief. Like the depth of the wrinkles on his forehead beggar belief, and he kind of looks at you all through these teeny tiny little pokey eyes that are mostly obscured by this large bulbous nose.
I've spoken to the Archmage,
the goblin starts,
while he was reading a few hours ago, and he has informed me that our final guest is delayed in the slightest. As such, the Archmage has extended an invitation for all of you to his sitting room, where he hopes Stradivon would provide a performance, while Agatha recounts his expedition northwards. Once the Justicar has arrived, the Archmage, will join everyone for the banquet.
And, like, silence has fallen across the room while this... It looks like the goblin's paining himself to, like, talk loud enough. But the statue that's kind of next to you, Vanya, turns and... Well, of course, it will take me 15 minutes to prepare, but I would be more than happy to oblige, he says. And there's a playful little bing, like C note, as he plucks one of the strings in his chest cavity.
Of course. Well, I will invite you all free reign of the estate to explore at your whim, though I would ask that you refrain from the Archmage's quarters,
he says, pointing a doddery finger at the staircase behind you all, leading up to a closed door that's covered in kind of gold filigree.
He does not like to be interrupted from his research, and does not appreciate guests in his private quarters. He will be down when he is ready. 15 minutes, and then we shall meet in the parlour.
And he points the same doddery finger at the door at the back of the room.
You are, of course, welcome to stay here and enjoy the wine. Browse the library or the laboratory, or perhaps the collection of relics would be of interest in the gallery,
pointing the doddery finger a third time to the other staircase out of the foyer.
Please make yourself at home.
And then with a small exhalation of breath, the goblin slumps slightly and then slowly shuffles to turn around and dawdles back out of the foyer. I do say, the Terran sprite pipes up, Bendel's looking more sprightly than ever, isn't he? There's no laughter from the Terran sprite's little joke. But he seems somewhat oblivious as he goes back to talking to the elderly Lorivar lady, Lady Gwendolyn. But, like, as you're kind of all looking in this direction at Alfrek, you see her for a second time, like, glance at you with a help me look on her face as Mr. Montgomery launches back into his monologue. Let's be honest, it's a monologue. So, yes, you've been given permission to go wanders. You've been told not to go into the mage's quarters because he does not appreciate strays and vagabonds. So we'll put a little oh, that's not an exclamation mark. Put a little exclamation mark here, just like that. Not allowed up there, but otherwise you have free reign of the mansion. And yeah, you can move around freely. Unless you would like to stay here and have a little chat with some of the other guests.
I think Riri has shrunken herself out of the grip of little mage friend.
Yeah.
And kind of cornered herself back round the other way, hiding behind Daddy's.
Yeah.
Should we have a look?
Yeah.
Just the cow in Cow's ear.
Yeah. Like, where would you like to go in the like? Is there anywhere in particular you'd like to go in the mansion? So it was mentioned. So you are the parlor is to the north. That's like the main sitting room. But yeah, there's a library, a laboratory, like a relics gallery up the other staircase. Obviously, you would have seen as the goblin disappeared back through the door that leads to the dining room, like the banquet hall, and you would then assume the kitchens and the pantry would lie beyond that. But yeah, where is it you'd like to have a little nosy round?
I think if Rary whispers in Cal's ear, like, where do you want to go? I feel like Cal will be like, do you want to check out some relics? No stealing, though. Just gonna look.
Can we take her?
What? Just stage whispers.
Take her new friend. The blue guy.
If you want.
Okay.
My God, we're like Rary's adopted another like pet. Great.
Just up to Alfrek, like,
do you want to come with?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay. Vanya, are you following behind the others? They seem to be going to look at the relic room.
Yep, I'll be following suit.
Okay.
Probably just in passing, just tapping the other Wolfkin on the shoulders and be like, look forward to hearing this story then later. Catch you in a bit.
The Wolfkin mage kind of beams you that winning smile and kind of claps you heartily on the back. And no, in fact, he goes in for a warrior's hand, like arm grip handshake, with a clap on the back, and he sort of like nods very affirmatively.
Yeah, I'll receive that and give him a little gentle nod.
I will receive that.
Okay. So, in which case, as the four of you, Alfrek, you appear to be you appear to be being escorted from the foyer.
Very excited.
So as you follow the explorers into the relic room, we'll move you all up in there, as the four of you filter in, Cal, you're sort of like the last to enter in, but you kind of take a moment to glance over your shoulder at sort of like the gathered guests, the awakened statue, this wolfkin mage, the elderly Lorivar woman, the Terran sprites, well, you can hear the dithering old goblin butler. And you don't know why, but there's just something that doesn't sit comfortably in your gut. As pairs of eyes kind of glance up to the four of you as the door swings closed. And you just get this unshakable hunch that this is not going to be as quick and easy a job as you expected it to be. And with that in mind, we're going to grab a quick break. So, if you are enjoying this, make sure to hit the like button. If you want to see more of this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications when we release new content, because there's loads of it. And also, if you subscribe, you get to talk to us in the chat. We are going to be back in 15 minutes, and we will carry on with this absolutely innocent, nothing's happening gala dinner. See you all in a bit. Bye.